So Sean, what do you think about me?
Jeff Summers is the greatest writer in the English language, bar none. Ernest Hemingway would have shot himself again if he had read a single line of Jeff Summers' work.
Thank you, completely disinterested, unpaid fan.
My name is Jeff Summers, and I'm a writer. I've written a lot of things you almost certainly have never heard of, but currently I'm most known for the Avery Cates series published by Orbit Books. People think that being a published author is a glamorous life filled with champagne and solid gold toilets, but let me set you straight. I spend my days with 4 cats wandering my house in a tattered bathrobe, clutching a bottle of booze to my chest and muttering. Since the Avery Cates books are science fiction novels, and are, by the way, the greatest novels ever written in the English language, and if you don't buy copies immediately, you will suffer from cultural illiteracy and be mocked at parties, it was decided that I should attend this year's New York Comic Con as a literary guest, where I would attempt to charm and bamboozle the good pious fans of the earth into paying some small attention to me. So I gathered my courage, put on some pants, and with my wife the Duchess in tow, we headed off to 2 days in the uncanny valley of the Javits Convention Center in New York. The thing about Comic Con is, it's frickin' big. The sheer number of people in front of you as you enter the place is mind-boggling, and fighting your way through it all is something like living in a zombie movie. A lot of slow-moving, odd-smelling people shuffling about while you fight the urge to hack away at them with whatever weapon may be at hand. In the end, just like in the movies, the zombies win and you have to adjust your pace to something close to a dead elephant and just sort of be carried along. The plan for our first day was simple enough. Somehow locate and present ourselves at the publisher's booth at 3 p.m. where I would sign books and make friends with everyone on Earth in a vain attempt to sell scads of books. Deceptively simple plans like this never seem to take into account the most powerful force in the universe, a force that has destroyed corporations and individuals the world over. My incompetence. More on this later. Somehow, despite the crush of babes dressed as Princess Leia, and the stormtroopers who always seemed to have innocents on their knees while the cruel crowd stood around grinning, we did indeed manage to show up on time, and a signing commenced, which went really, really well, with a lot of people and very few awkward moments. So well, in fact, that I knew fate would need to restore balance to the universe with something really humiliating for me. But I'm haunted by this conviction on a regular basis and have come to live with it. After the signing, my wife and I opted to wander the floor a bit instead of making any sort of rational plan for day 2, like finding out where we were supposed to be or any rubbish like that, preferring to allow my aforementioned incompetence to take me by the nipples and drag me wherever it wished, but more on that later too. At one point, my wife left me by myself to go look for more things to buy, with the promise of being back in a jiffy, and proceeded to leave me standing by myself for what seemed like 6 or 7 hours. The thing about being left alone like this at Comic-Con is that it's like having a slight flesh wound in the Amazon River. You get swarmed and eventually consumed by marketing drones who want to hand you cards, free comics, live eels, whatever their corporate masters are trying to sell. By the time the Duchess returned, I was weeping softly inside a trash can. The plan for day 2 was also simple. Show up for a panel at 1:30, then do an hour in the autograph area from 3 to 4, then go out and drink in celebration. Again, none of this planning took into account my incompetence, which saw us arrive at the Javits Center at approximately 1:25 p.m., spend an eternity fighting our way to the publisher's booth, only to learn that the only person who had actually taken the time to find out where in bloody hell the panel was being held had already left to attend the panel, and was now sitting there, miles away, chewing his fingernails and wondering if today was the day the prophecy came true, and I single-handedly destroyed Orbit Books. With nothing else for it, it was decided that I would run for the panel room, approximately as far away from us at that moment as Mars is from the Earth, and I hope I could make it. Now, I am not what you might call, charitably, in shape. To be perfectly blunt, I have spent the last few years drinking whiskey and speculating what exercise might be like if I ever one day tried some, so sprinting through the zombie-like crowd at Comic-Con was doomed from the get-go, though I made the best of it. The saving grace of it all was the fact that everyone else was so tightly packed in that I could push, shove, and curse everyone freely, and no one had the ability to extricate themselves from the crowd quickly enough to punish me. Sweaty and panting, I burst into the panel room a good 10 minutes late, looking, as usual, like a jackass. As a final kick in the ass, when you arrive to a panel late, you get the last available seat at the table, directly behind the monitor so no one can see you. The good news is you can hide your trembling as your body rebels against the first good run it's had in years. The bad news is that after the panel is over, no one ever knows you were there, although when you spent the whole panel sweating and trembling, this may not be such a bad thing. The autographing went rather better, as we had half an hour to fight our way back, and I am much better at sitting in one place making chit-chat than I am sprinting through crowds requiring Olympian levels of coordination and speed. As I shook hands, posed for photos, and signed all manner of books presented to me, the only glitch was that we were right next to Lou Ferrigno, also known as the Incredible Frickin' Hulk, and still quite alarmingly huge, who defended his territory fiercely and twice growled at my wife to stay off his spot, making me tremble all over again at the thought of making the news as the famous sci-fi author pummeled by an enraged Lou Ferrigno.
Please do not get us into a fight with the Hulk.
Please be an obscure way I don't have to explain to you. Finally, we were done, and was off to a bar to celebrate my triumph. And it was indeed a triumph. I got to meet some fans I'd only previously known through my blog and such. I met a lot of new people, and I think I convinced at least some of the suspicious strangers I met to at least read my book. As people bought me drinks and my heart rate returned to normal, I realized that the thrill of Comic-Con is being in one place with so many people who feel just like you do about sci-fi in general, not to mention the fact that I now know the one thing I have been missing in all of my public appearances: a cape. You simply have to take men in capes seriously.